Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is David Palmer, the Leo King, and this is my show, Deep Astrology, where I go deep into the astrology and tell you what's going on in the cosmos on my live show. And this is the show for March 6th of 2018. We'll be talking all the way up into, I think it's like March 12th I'll go into until I come back on the 13th of next week. Now, there's a lot going on in the cosmos that's about to happen. So it's kind of weird, like, there's some stuff that we're going to talk about that's going on with, of course, Mercury and Venus that'll be following each other for these next couple weeks. But we are going to be talking about the big Jupiter retrograde that's coming this week. We are going to be talking about Mars and Uranus this week. We are going to be talking about Mars square Chiron. We are going to be talking about Mercury square Saturn. So there's a lot of stuff about to hit here over these next couple days, especially into this weekend and into next week. And to be honest with you, as we come longer into the month of March, oh my gosh, there is some big stuff coming. We talked about it last week, that Mars-Pluto-Saturn conjunction that's getting ready to come up here. There's a lot that's starting to build up in the astrology, and especially this week is different than what we've had for the last 2.5 months. The reason why? Well, the first retrograde of 2018, the first retrograde in what seems to be the longest time that I have seen the planets forward and any time that I've reported. I mean, I would have to do a lot of math in order to find out how long has it been since the last time we had the planets forward for this long. I think that this retrograde will be good, but I'm going to give you a lot of help to understand how this retrograde could also really be a little bit of an adjustment period for us to have. The reason why I say that is because we've been so used to the planets forward and we've never really had the planets forward like this for a long time. So to be honest with you, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like there's so much planetary action going forward. Oh, what do I do with it? A retrograde might be something that might be a little difficult for us to get used to. And when I think about retrogrades, I always think about them as karma, as the retrieving of karma. And so to me, I'm like super ecstatic. I'm super excited to have this because I think, oh, finally, we can have some of the karma that we want to have come back into our lives, finally come back. We can finally see some sort of retrieving of things, because when all the planets are moving forward, it's like I've been describing it as kind of like being on the Millennium Falcon, like, yeah, you know, and like turning into hyperspeed and, you know, things going so fast, we might not be used to have something stop. Remember, when planets go stationary retrograde, they literally stop in our view. And from our view from Earth, there's this weird like, and there's a weird moment. I always call them snapshots. And so today we are also going to look at the snapshot of what the astrology looks like for Jupiter going retrograde. What does it all mean? Where is it all going? And all that fun stuff. So why don't we just take a look and look at the charts and see what's coming up. Alrighty, so let's see here. All right, well, I'm running the chart here for March 6th of 2018. I just ran it at 5:27, which 5:27 is literally just like almost 10 minutes before I went live on this show. And what do we got here? We've got this big moon in Scorpio getting ready to conjunct Jupiter. This is a big deal because Jupiter goes retrograde on the 8th. So we're only a couple days away from this retrograde, and the moon's tapping into what could we fill into our life the most. You know, I always say that Jupiter, especially before it goes retrograde, is fill in as much energy as you can, because when Jupiter goes retrograde, it can't fit anything more, right? It's kind of like Santa trying to fill all the gifts in the sleigh. It's like, oh my gosh, like what gifts can we still fit in our life? And because it's in Scorpio, which, you know, is a sign dealing with the things that we desire, the things that we want, the things that we truly feel that we can go deeper inside and feel in our lives, I think that there's this very great aspect happening where it's like we're looking at our true selves deeply and going, I want more of this in my life, and we're throwing it in as quick as possible. The reason why I'm saying that is, look at this. Mercury and Venus, bam, at the 0 point in Aries. These two planets were just hanging out in Pisces, where Mercury hates to be and Venus loves to be, but how ironic that now we're having the opposite effect, where Venus is now not as happy, but Mercury is happy. Now, I think that this is a positive aspect either way, because the fact that these two planets just went over Chiron, right? There's a lot of things that are now letting us move forward in life. Now, yes, granted, the sun is still hanging back in Pisces, but now that Mercury is in Aries, Venus is in Aries, there's a spring energy towards things. There's an excitement, and you can't deny, right? Because look at what else is in Aries, the planet Uranus. And this is also adding to a lot of the fire energy. We've got this big energy of the Leo North Node. We've got this big energy of Mars and Sagittarius. So if you see, we've got a lot of fire now that's starting to build up in the chart, where it's been for most of 2018, lots of water, lots of earth, which can be very grounding and building and great, but you know, the spice of things, the excitement for things, I don't want to say that things can feel a little dull, because I think there's a lot of imagination that's going on, but physical reality without fire, right? It doesn't bring warmth. It doesn't bring light. It doesn't bring a lot of power to things. So this is like turning the light switch on in a way that makes things a little bit more exciting in people's lives. But, you know, so I think it's all for the good. The one thing, though, is we might be trying to shove a lot of things into our life, or shove a lot of change at like kind of a quick last moment here, as when Mercury comes into Aries, it's like, oh, okay, I'm out of the fog, I'm out of the water. It's like, what do you do when you get out of the ocean, right? When Mercury gets out of the ocean, the first thing you run and do is, in Aries, is like, I'm hungry, or I need to do this, or I need to go take a shower, or I need to go do this. We like are running towards that space, you know? And there's a lot of Martian energy around, because Aries is a sign ruled by Mars. Jupiter is in Scorpio, another sign ruled by Mars. The moon is in a Martian sign, you know, is in Scorpio ruled Mars. And Mars itself is in Sagittarius, a fire sign. It's making trines to Uranus, which is in a Mars ruled sign. So it's like, there's a lot of energy kind of going around, and with Jupiter stopping in Scorpio, it's like the last grab for what can we fit into our life, the last grab for trying to understand things, the last grab for, you know, what do I want to change in my life, and what do I want it to stay with me? Because remember, with all the planets forward, all of them forward, you got to remember that it's extremely rare to have all these planets forward. And so it's almost like, whatever that you can do to bring things in right now and make those changes, make those changes. And I think that it's interesting on this March 6th, it's like we're at this really interesting point with the moon in Scorpio and now Mercury and Venus in Aries. You know, what is really going to make us feel life again? You know, I think that we could feel like we have been on a hamster wheel, being all this energy in the way that it is. And then on top of that, we are kind of lost into the fog of all the Neptune energy we went through and all this water energy we've been through. It's been very heavy emotionally. It's been very heavy, the energy. And it's almost like we're looking for some lightness. Mercury in Aries is definitely wanting to find whatever it wants. It could be simple things in life. Sometimes Aries, right, ego stuff is very simple. Like maybe I just want to go have fun with my friends tonight, or maybe I just want to do something fun, or go out and do something. Like it's a different energy, and it's a selfish energy, I'll be honest with you. With Venus now in Aries, whatever is going to make you happy, it's like we're focused on that, and we'll do it. You know, the energy to do things right now is more powerful than usual, because even though that all the planets are direct and only one planet's going retrograde, there's still a lot of momentum. And so, like, let's take a look as if we move forward to the 8th, when exactly Jupiter goes retrograde, okay? So Jupiter is going retrograde at 8:45 p.m., which is going to happen Pacific time. That would be 11:45 p.m. Eastern, okay? Now, here it is, happening at 23 degrees, all right, of Scorpio. Now, what's happening at the exact time that we are having Jupiter go retrograde? Well, the first thing is a Sun, Neptune square the moon, okay? So when you have Sun square the moon, there's a big awakening aspect. And a lot of this is the question of where to go. And I say that because Sagittarius is a question of where, and a big square to Neptune and the sun is also in Pisces, of kind of a confusing, more imaginative, like, where's the ultimate storybook adventure? That's a better way to put it. I've always looked at, all the energy in Pisces and Sagittarius as spiritual adventure, Disneyland. Like, where's the Disneyland in my life? And when you're mixing in now Jupiter retrograde, it's like realizing, like, you have to get it on your own. Like, there is no, I think the whole lesson of Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio is realizing, okay, you've seen the things in life to where whatever outside influence that you need, you've seen what that is. But I think that you're having to realize that now with Jupiter offline, you've got to find it on your own. You've got to do things on your own. You got to build things on your own. Like, it's very hard to rely on an outside resource. Scorpio also rules investments and stuff. It also rules sex. So there's a lot of things that I think that we've observed in where our passions are, where we thrive on. But, with this energy now, it's kind of like, how am I going to make this magical story happen? I'm not going to be able to rely on certain aspects, people, investors, relationships. It could be anything in Scorpio, anything with an attachment to it. This is a very kind of figure it out on your own energy. And we can get a little lost because, it's like, here's all this energy, right? We've got Mercury and Venus all trying to understand, especially, remember, just Mercury, Venus itself is trying to understand what we want, okay? That's just a very clear alignment. And Venus is trying to teach Mercury how to maybe communicate our wants and understand our desires much more. There's a lot around desire because you're dealing not only with a lot of Martian energy, then you're dealing with a lot of Venus on Mercury, and on top of that, you're dealing with, of course, Mars trining Uranus, which I think is a big deal because it's like, there's an independence. We want freedom, but we want excitement. We want edge. There's a lot of edge that's wanting to be found in our life. We're wanting to make something of this year. We're wanting to do something with our lives. We're wanting to make a change that's going to be felt. Because Jupiter retrograde is unfortunately a difficult transit because our beliefs start to be questioned. We don't believe maybe we can get what we want. We start to look at our passions, our desires, and where are things missing? Where are things not together? Where are things not really gelling? And with all this energy now, wanting independence, wanting to move forward, wanting excitement, wanting edge, it's gonna be a very intense time for people making change, for people going, I want this storybook life, and I am going to find a way to get there, and I'm not going to rely on you to bring it to me. I can find it in my own way. I'm going to make it happen, whether I want to or not, or however it's going to affect an outside resource. We're going to go for it. The energy is like still pumping forward. And when you add to all the aspects, which I think is the craziest of all these ones, which of course is, if we move forward, we're getting ready for Mars square Chiron at the same time that we are also having the Mars trine Uranus. But let's go to March 10th now, which is Saturday. And I'll be honest with you all, I think this weekend's pretty gnarly. The reason why I think this weekend's gnarly is, one, look at this. Mercury is going to square Saturn. So when we talk about passions and desires and our wants and our needs in our life and how we're going to be happy in our life, there's an unfortunate thing that Saturn in Capricorn is trying to teach Mercury. Okay, you want certain things and you're going to figure it out and you're going to try and make the environment and the world around you that. Is it in alignment with your path? Is it in alignment with who you are? So sometimes we might want a lot of edge and excitement and, powerful things, but we still have the sun in Pisces. Is it good for our spiritual self, and is it good for the alignment? There's a kind of wise man energy around too, which makes this very hard because there's the sun and the sun in Pisces and the Capricorn Saturn, which is very wise man, hermit card, old energy, wise energy around. And very strong with that. And the moon's in Capricorn this weekend, right? So, the moon's going to conjunct Saturn and it's going to square Mercury. So it's like we start to have doubt, or maybe we start to go, oh, we're really excited, but look at the red tape, or look at the issues in which could be blocking me from getting there. I'm not saying that it's going to stop us completely, but there's a wise energy that says, I know what you want. I get it, but as long as it's on the path of your spiritual alignment, if it feels like it's on a right path for you and your destiny, then go for it. Especially, I think it's crazy when you think of Mars is trining Uranus, that's like independence, freedom, and then Mercury squares Saturn, which is so like, oh God, I don't want to have the blocks. I don't want to have any of the things holding me back. And then on top of that, Mars is squaring Chiron. So it's like there are deep-seated issues in ourself which might feel like, oh, I want this and I want this, but this is just not the way that I want it to look. So we want to try and make crazy change or take crazy new actions or go on crazy wild adventures or go do crazy things to kind of change our lives. But is that really what will change it? Is a wild, crazy adventure to a weird, mystical, crazy land? It's a good question. I think what we're going to realize is, number one, the situations in which we are in right now in our lives, the life that God has put us on course with, is for a reason. There is a reason we are at the place we are at. Now, granted, I do believe that the universe wants us to make this change. It wants us to experience other worldly desires and desires in themselves and make a review on what we really do desire in many ways. But there's a reason for where you're at. So I think we get very anxious to jump and just go and make new decisions and quick decisions in our lives, but Mercury square Saturn is saying, maybe you want to take a little time before you decide on that. Maybe you want to take a little time before you jump into that. And with Mars trine Uranus, we tend to, especially in Sagittarius, which is a freedom sign, Mars, and Uranus, which is in Aries, which is a very self-absorbed, I wants area, and you've already got all this Mercury and Venus energy in Aries. It's like there's a lot of like, well, I'm going to do it, whatever, fuck you, old man, kind of energy. Like, it's like, I don't care. You don't see it, but I think that Saturn in Capricorn is serious. And this is where Mars is, let's look at the chart. This is where Mars is approaching, right? It's coming into this zone, and the moon's here. So we can't just run away from things we don't want, or we just can't, I think just throw two sheets to the wind and just be like, fuck this, I'm over this, I'm out of here. Like, we need to know what we're unhappy with and take our time to make adjustments, open up to new ideas. Mars trine Uranus is, let's look at a lot of solutions. Mars in Sagittarius is, there are lots of options to where this can go. But I think with the Mercury Venus, we can get so singular in thinking, no, there's only one way out of these situations right now. And especially Mars trine Uranus, it's like, no, there's only one way. And then when Mars squares Chiron, it's like, oh yeah, but this is a shitty situation. Oh, it's horrible. It's never going to work. It's like, the whole lesson in all this is, I think, to be more compassionate, know that everything's happening for a reason, work through things right now in our life, and kind of like, it'll all work out. Don't freak out. Jupiter retrograde is where people freak out. Oh my God, it's not going to work. Oh my God, my beliefs, it's not going to work. And especially in Scorpio, we can get real dark real quick. Oh my God, this is horrible. I'm not feeling it. Oh my gosh. We could look at something and go, oh yeah, just, it's like kind of like if you, let's say, I don't know, Chick-fil-A is your favorite fast food restaurant, and you go to Chick-fil-A and you pick up one and you eat it and you're like, it tastes like shit, so you make a decision you're never going to Chick-fil-A again. It just might be one day with a bad Chick-fil-A sandwich. Like, Doesn't mean like you make a decision, I'm never going to Chick-fil-A again, you know? Like, this is a time for us to be learning how to combine our youth and enthusiasm with our wisdom and our more, I don't want to say that it's not youthful, but it's more reserved, more let's take our time and let's make sure that we understand everything. And we don't want to waste the youth. We don't want to waste the afterburners because they're here right now. So it's making sure that, you know, you almost, you and your guides and you and God have a council meeting. Like, okay, the F-18 showed up. The afterburners are ready to go. The spaceship's ready to launch. Should we go here or there or where? And you have to look into your feelings and you have to make choices off ones where you're not freaking out. You have to make choices on ones where you're not just immediately like, I'm doing this because bam. Like, this is a time for you to be like, okay, what's the past say about this? Are there patterns that just haven't ended? Remember, we're in Pisces. So there's a lot about like, what are the patterns in this aspect? Saturn and Capricorn. Is this decision that I'm making in my life right now based upon what's the best for me in the long term, in the long run? If it's for a quick high, or if it's for a quick fix, or if it's for a quick excitement, it might be fun real quick, but you'll be on the other side when Mars comes into Capricorn on the 17th, and we come into next week and everything, and it will die out. So this is a weekend where we could really go, whoop, and then boom, and be brought back to reality. And I think it's important to note that life is a mystery. And sometimes, you know, I don't want to advocate being stuck in situations that are hell. Because sometimes, yes, even though there's the beautiful sextiles of all this Pisces energy and this energy that's going on with Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn, and, you know, I didn't even mention it. If we look at the chart, you got to remember too that the sun is also sextiling Pluto. So there's this huge investigation going on like our desires, our wants, our needs so powerfully. Like, this weekend just comes to a peak message of like, is this real? Is this what I feel? Is this what I desire? Is this the path in which I want to be on? I think the lesson is you need to look at it all the way through and get through the end of next week. And the reason why I say that is let's go to Monday because, or actually Sunday. Let's go to Sunday first because what's interesting is Sunday's the day where Mars 26 will trine Uranus 26. And now Venus is getting ready to start to square Saturn, right? So it's like we don't want to just make choices off our mind right away. We also want to go with a deeper sense of our values, our true, deeper feel-good energy, what feels good, what feels not. And let's actually move it forward to Monday, the 12th, which I think is very important because once Mars has to still square Chiron still. And on top of that, the moon will be in Capricorn on top of all this, but leaving and coming into Aquarius where the South Node is coming into next week. I feel like this is not a weekend to just blow your freaking load. You know, you want to have some sort of patience. And of course, I think it's very important for you to know this is what you want in your life now. But you want to find very wise and very compassionate and very thought through ways to get what you want. This is not a kid in a candy store who just is going to go, I want this, I want this, I want this, and I'm out. This is about you realizing, okay, you want candy. Well, maybe there's a better way to, instead of me always buying candy real quick and getting a quick fix, what if I owned a candy business? Or, it's like thinking about bigger solutions in life and finding ways, especially because we have Mars trine Uranus and we have Mars square Chiron. They're totally different energies. Uranus is about ascending to a higher level. Chiron's about, healing yourself through realizing the faults in things. And with Mars square Chiron, we could have these ego faults. We could have these faults in ourself that we want to project by, making a crazy radical change that, might pump up our ego to fix some sort of ego fault that we have going on in our life, which I wouldn't recommend doing. I think, though, overall, when you look at the weekend, deep truths are going to come out. It's Mars retrograde in Scorpio. It's Sun sextile Pluto. It's, a lot of energy with Mercury square Saturn and Venus square Saturn. Like, there's a lot of energy that is saying, like, okay, we really need to look at the truth and the integrity of things. And are they of integrity? Are we of integrity? Are we going to handle? Sure, we have desires. Sure, we have wants. It doesn't mean that we throw our integrity away and just say, fuck it to the wind, I'm doing that. Like, there's a part of us that needs to go, okay, I'm not into this anymore, but let me find a great solution and way to deal with that in a much more wiser way, instead of react quick this weekend, do it, over, boom, and then come into next week and, just kind of be like, kind of frantic. We can go frantic this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised with the Sun square Moon this week in Sagittarius and Pisces, and with Neptune involved, and with all these energies the way they are. I mean, I'll be honest with you all. Like, I think that this energy is going to bring a lot of energy that we weren't expecting out of nowhere. And I think this retrograde is going to cause a lot of us not believing in the path anymore and wanting to change the path. And Scorpio wants change. When it's not happy, it says it's over. I'm done with it. And then with the moon, next week coming into Aquarius, like, there's a lot brewing for a lot of just wow. Especially as Mars is heading towards this galactic center point, which is forcing the issue of whatever we went through in December of 2017, where Saturn was. Like, Mars is coming into the zone where it's forcing and it's presenting all of, like, what is your identity of your mission here, your destiny, the reason why you're here. Is this all right for your identity? And I think that we have till next week to make that choice before Mars goes into Capricorn. I think we have that choice. I think it would be smart to play this week as understanding what everything is, not losing your beliefs, not going too dark, not going too crazy, not going too, I've already made a decision. Like, sure, inside we know the truth. But there is an external world that needs to be played correctly, like chess. It's Saturn and Capricorn. Just because you have the urge to move the queen doesn't mean you just freaking move it to whatever freaking position you want. You don't want to lose it. This is a week about not losing it. This is a week about learning control of your desires, control and a wiser way to deal with your desires, and be honest about them and find solutions to make them work. And the ones that aren't working, find solutions to end them properly. Things need proper burial in life. We bury people and do a funeral for them. We just don't throw them over a fucking cliff. Whether that's a job, whether that's a relationship, whether that's any situation that you're going through in your life right now. Like, just because you start to feel things doesn't mean that you go overboard. This is a moon square the sun in Pisces, a moon in Sagittarius with Jupiter retrograding at the same time with Mars there. Talk about people coming into kind of crazy beliefs out of nowhere. You're going to hear people and you're going to be like, oh my God, this is going to freak me out. Like, you're going to hear people have like big revelations like, oh yeah, no, I'm doing this in my life now and I just totally did it and bam, I'm going. And you'll be sitting there and you'll be like, wow, I heard this, I looked at the astrology and you know what? Maybe even I'm myself having different beliefs, right? But I'm going to properly execute them and let's just see on the other side at the beginning of next week if they're still there or if they're not. Sometimes, when we get into the chaotic mess of a sun square the moon in mutable signs and with Neptune involved and Mars involved, we could just start slipping and sliding, and the only way to save things is to just push restart or change the game or do something crazy out of nowhere. And we also are dealing with psychological stuff because of Neptune. We're dealing with psychological changes because of Mercury and Venus, personal planets, now in an oxymoron flip. When they move from Pisces, where Mercury's at fall, and then it moves into Aries, where it's happy, and then Venus is in exaltation and now moving to detriment, psychologically, our personal feelings are changing extremely. So before we react to personal feelings changing so fast, which you could feel the approach of right now, it's important for you to not just react to them and change them so quick without thinking things all the way through. Mercury in Aries does not want to think things through. When it's on Venus, it's like Venus is trying to say, hey, I already am not in the best place. It's like the best way I can describe Venus in Aries is it's really hot, really quick, and then it fades out, right? So if you have Venus in Aries, or if you meet somebody in Venus in Aries, it's the one night stand. It's like, oh, this is great, and boom, 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 and then somehow you wake up and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm over this. It's like, we don't want to put ourselves through that this weekend. We don't want to have a bunch of one night stands with new ideologies, new belief structures, new independent places, new ego hurting desires, or ego hurt pain, and find quick fixes. This is not a weekend to find a quick fix. Because and maybe it will work for a second, but it will not work long term. You want to think long term. You want to think wiser. You want to pause things in the middle of your crazy emotions that come up, your crazy feelings, and not lose it. And remember, we just got out of eclipse season, so we're all kind of, came out of that Aquarian energy, and now we're coming into some new Aries and Pisces, and everything's starting to kind of thin itself out better instead of being so concentrated in one place. So it's important for us to understand the cards we're all playing instead of, playing our first hand right away right now. Like really starting to, okay, I feel that way. That's what it is. I don't know exactly how it'll go yet, but let me find a way, or let me try and figure that out. And Venus square Saturn, which is approaching coming into next week, is, issues with us not feeling good enough, issues with us feeling like we're incapable. And when you combine that with Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio, that's a non-belief in your ability to manifest what you want and bring in what you want or receive what you want. So there's a lot of issues with physical receiving, manifesting, the ability to do things the way that you want, and, jumping into things really quick to try and fix it and think that that's a solution. Quick solutions are not going to work right now. Long-term solutions, taking your time, and we are coming into a time to where Mercury is getting ready to come retrograde on March 22nd, right? So, we are getting close to shadow time with Mercury, and, when you start getting into that zone, it's like we don't want to make a bunch of crazy decisions just out of nowhere, When I think of what's coming up in the future, and I look at this week, I want to tell you all this. This week is the beginning of this year. I know that might sound crazy, but this week is finally going to set things in motion. You'd think with all the planets forward, we'd be moving in motion, which, trust me, we have been. But what I'm trying to say is, with planets that start to go retrograde, and this month, the only planets that are going retrograde is Mercury and Jupiter. The two planets dealing with our higher and lower mind, our thoughts, our belief structures, our attitudes about life, our environment, and our where is things. This is definitely a month where our lives our environments, our perceptions are all going to be changed, and we're going to start to feel life the way that it's supposed to be felt, or the way that we think it's supposed to be felt. Like, okay, things are happening now, things are changing, things are coming into grips the way that I want to. But you're going to have to play it wise. You're going to have to play high octane. Like, I'm a racer too for a living. So, sometimes in endurance races, you just don't want to waste all your gas and all your energy on the first lap. You want to make sure that you have enough to finish the race. And this is one of those weekends and into this week where this is the beginning of the year, this is the beginning of the energy, and especially coming up in the next couple weeks, right? The sun moves into Aries, and that is the new year in astrology, which we're coming up to. So, it could feel like, man, we are really trying to remove old patterns and remove things that we don't want, but we have to do it wisely. We have to do it correctly. We just, if there's a nuclear issue going on in life, look how they handled Fukushima. It was rushing to try and fix it all and doing it wrong, and it ended up a disaster. A disaster. We do not want to create disasters in our life from trying to rush in to fix something quick and put a Band-Aid on it and put a quick, oh, I feel good now. I'm okay. Not going to be a good long-term solution. This is also the ending of Chiron in Pisces, not for the rest of this year, because Chiron does go into Aries, but then it does retrograde back into Pisces. So, but Chiron's coming into Aries in the spring, and just only a month and 3 weeks away or whatever. I think it's at the end of April. So, and then we're getting ready for Uranus to move into Taurus. So, we want to make sure that we don't make crazy adjustments that maybe we weren't prepared for with these bigger transits that are coming on the heels of this, right? Which is, of course, Chiron coming to these last degrees of Pisces is the degrees of depression. It's the degrees of I'm lost. It's the degrees of no, it's not going to work. Why don't you make sure that you really know that's true before you give up? I don't care if it's Chiron or Mercury or Pluto or Venus or Juno or whatever you want to put there at the 28th, 29th degree of Pisces. It's the last degrees. It's the ending. It's the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. It's the sun at the longest part of the nighttime. Because what happens when the sun comes into Aries? It's the moment that the sun comes up over the horizon line. And it's the new day. And so before this new day is starting to dawn in our lives, in our year, and the weird issues that we're dealing with in our life, instead of us trying to chaotically fix things and believe that we can change things right away and everything, why don't we look at them before we react to them? Why don't we come from a wiser place and have a council meeting with our guides and our angels and those that are around us and God before we just radically go in it? And with Mercury and Venus following each other for the next 3 weeks, especially with then Mercury going to retrograde on top of Venus, we need to have conversations with people about things. Long ones. Take our time. Don't rush to make things happen. Don't rush to figure things out with people right away. These are going to be long, extended talks. These are going to be long, trying to figure things out. Long adjustments into our life and our reality. So if you're expecting a quick fix to life or things just to save the day right away, because remember, we can get all heroic with Mercury and Aries and Venus and Aries and but it's still Pisces. Saturn's still in Capricorn. And all that Mercury, Venus excitement this week is going to hit Saturn in Capricorn with a reality check to make sure that we take our time, that we make smart decisions, and we play things in a wise place. And we also don't go back into our old patterns this week. Thanks so much for all your support. I truly appreciate it. I'm still doing readings. Next week, at the end of the week, I'm taking readings down and moving them onto futurelife.tv, where it'll be an application thing only. So if you want to book a reading with me, this is the last week and a half to do it, where you control the time and the energy for that. Also, make sure you watch the horoscopes every day on Future Life TV. That's where I'm doing them, and we got 11 other practitioners on there, tarot cards, all the way to life, health and wellness, lifestyle. Also, I want to say my March horoscope is up. It's inclusive astrology is pretty much done, so don't go there anymore. Go to theleoking.com, click on astrology and monthly horoscopes, and now you can stream It's awesome. Just push the stream. It's through Vimeo. It's so cool. I've made my monthly horoscope much easier to access, and pretty soon it'll be actually on Future Life now to watch. But for right now, go to leoking.com, click on Astrology, click on monthly horoscopes, and they did a rental for $7.99. So I've even brought the price of my monthly horoscope down. So thanks so much for all your support. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for always being here and supporting me. And you know, lately it's like, I don't feel like, well, the truth is I feel like I have to prove myself on my YouTube channel lately. It's like I have to prove that I still do astrology because I'm doing high vibe TV now, where I'm doing much more inspirational daily talks to help people get through their day and work through spiritual lessons and stuff. And then, of course, I'm doing Electronic Generation to do a whole different vibe of spirituality in the electronic world and the music world. And then I'm doing, you know, my astrology world. So it's like I feel like people like don't believe I'm, and this is my own issue. This is my own ego issue. It's like people don't believe I'm an astrologer or something anymore. It's like, man, it's like now I got to prove myself. I have to make deeper astrology. And I got to do, you know, it's like, and on the app I do astrology every day. I just want to remind you all that I am an astrologer by heart, but I'm also trying to take astrology to new levels. And what I really want to do is get rid of that old stigma of astrologer and change it to a new thing. Last thing I want to say, we are touring. I am going to make a U.S. tour. It looks like we're doing Denver, Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C., Knoxville, right? Nashville, and Dallas, Texas. That's a lot of cities. I'm also working on the Chicago show to get other YouTube astrologers on the Friday night because the UAC is there. I will be at the United Astrology Conference for 2018 in Chicago. I got a booth there for the 5 days of the conference, May 24th through the 29th. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm going to be doing meet and greets. Everybody can come in for free to UAC to hang out at my trade booth. I'm trying to have everybody come for free if you're in the Chicago area, but we will be doing an awesome event that night in Chicago, and I'm trying to get a bunch of other YouTube astrologers or other astrologers involved to make a one-night awesome show with the best YouTube astrologers around. I'm going to be hitting them all up, and hopefully they all want to come for this awesome event, which will be live streaming. Anyway, thanks so much for all the support. I truly appreciate it. And get ready. The tour schedule's coming out next week. We're going to have dates. Those are the cities, though, that we're hitting. And I hope to meet you in person. And I'll be honest, I'm super excited to come back to New York City. All you New Yorkers, I'm coming back. That was the best show on the tour last year. We had a blast. Can't wait to see you all around the nation. And I'm looking forward to everything. Thanks so much. And I'll see you on the next Deeper Astrology, or I'll see you tomorrow on futurelife.tv. Hi, Grandma. How are you? Oh, I'm doing good. No, I'm eating really healthy right now in my life. Lots and lots of vegetables. Yeah, and potatoes too. You know, they're vegetables, aren't they? Yeah. No, I'm eating healthy. I feel really good. Yeah, I'm in shape too. Oh, my relationship, Grandma? Oh, it's going great. We're really connected right now. No, I mean the love's there. She's. No, lots of attention. We really have really interesting conversations too. No, yeah, don't worry about me, Grandma. It's going good. Oh, my dreams. You know, you don't have to worry about my dreams. They're always coming true. Yeah, financially, everything's going good. I've got everything I want, the job I want. Yeah, everything's going good there. Future Life? What's that, Grandma? I know, I'll follow your advice. What is it? It's a new app? I'll check it out. Future Life.
Future Life. Wake up to your future like you've never seen before.